my. And that's Martinelli making her breakfast. I can see that, Martinelli. She's going to turn around in a minute. Ah! Gotcha. Okay. All right, so I want to welcome you today because, see, she noticed me. She'll smile in a minute here, right? Okay. I want you to know that I had a wonderful vacation. And that I absolutely, she did good. There's Dee, and we have two D's today. Where's your puppy, Dee Dee? It's on the bed next to her. Anyway, I really feel refreshed, which is the first time I've felt like this in a long time. And I've been inspired. And so today I'm going to talk about both situations because I think it's important. Today's talk is about power together. And I know during the month you've been listening to Power the Individual. I'm going to kind of blend the two together. When I went on this trip, and I'll get more into it a little bit, I didn't realize how tired I was. Anybody relate to that? Yep. Yeah. So I'll get into that in a minute. But I'm going to start out with a card that I pulled the first week that I was at my retreat. Now, the retreat, FYI, was 4.5 days of Pilates, yoga, Qigong, and meditation. And the baths. And the baths in Esalen. And it was incredible. Just incredible. And I'll get into that, more of that in a minute. But I want to start with a card that I pulled this morning. We all had a little table, and we had to put something on the table. And I'll be giving you my story on that one. But this was a card that I pulled from someone. And it says, and this applies to you. So when I'm saying this about me, today this is applying to you. It takes courage to trust your inner light, to ascend to the throne of your own inner spiritual authority, especially if the light of others around you seem more powerful than your own at times. You are being asked to trust the light within, above all. Have faith in your own heart. Know that the divine dwells within us, is with you always. That dwells within is always with you. You know, I'm just going to say that, and I will get into my little story in a minute, that sometimes that light doesn't seem so bright. Anybody have that one happen? We all do, right? And when that happens, I just want to say it's important that we realize that the outside world is an appearance. It's an appearance. And we make it up. We make it up. But we have to, in our own lives, learn how to move past the appearance and delve into what I call the deep knower, the knower within. And that's something that happened to me this last 2 weeks that I was like, I know better, but do I listen? Right? Do I listen? So, and then the second thing, which I usually say at the end of the service, but I'll say it now, in the midst of confusion, and in fact, I supported somebody during the last 2 weeks that was in the midst of confusion. And I had to shut my mouth and listen to hear the stories that were going on inside them, and then be that trusted friend they could talk to about it. They could go, oh, and then allow Spirit to move through me. Spirit meaning God, if an intelligence, whatever word you want to call it, to support them to get back on track. But I also had to do the same thing to me. The Bible says, the New Thought Bible and Ernest Holmes say these two things. It says, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. And that means it underscores the potency of multiplicity, now say that fast, in oneness, and the transformation impact of coming together with the intention and awareness. We acknowledge the inherent power of aligning our minds in purpose, transcending the limitations, and demonstrating the more excellent good. We talk a lot about good here, creating good in the world. Not just hanging out and coming on Sundays and going, well, that's over, I'm going to do whatever I want. Instead, we say we want to create good all the time. Now, I'm going to bring these two things together because I can't go forward without knowing that if we don't work individually inside of ourselves, we're not working out in the world the way we want to work. So, and the other thing is, I want you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that who you are today changes the world. Yes, even you. We change the world. And it may seem like, oh, do I really? Or, yeah, I know that. You can put them down. It's okay. Yeah, there you go. He wants to hang out with them.
We've missed each other.
I guess so. Me too. All right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on my vacation, but I am going to point out some things that I actually learned. This is what I learned. And you know, and it's one of those things you know that. But do we do anything about it? Until it really gets to a point where you have to. So I realized the limitations of my body and the healing power of paying attention to what I needed to be more attentive to while I was in the world of effects. So, I have a little metaphysical story, and I know the end result of the story, but when I left, one of the things that I do, and see if you do this, when you go on vacation, don't you check every little corner? Is this done? Is that done? Is that done? My work done? Do I have everything packed? Do I have my plane ticket? Is the church okay? Am I going to be, that's the longest I've ever been gone. You hear? Just building and building and building and building. All the things that it takes to go on vacation. And then it usually takes 3 days to kind of go, oh, I'm here. Right? Well, on the way up, we stopped in Santa Maria. A pretty cool little town. I was really surprised. It's really nice town. Anyway, it's about a 6-7 hour drive. And on the drive up and prior to this trip, I was having some vertigo. And I go, okay, it'll go away. Anyway, I still drove, right, 5 hours. I'm like, give the handles over to somebody else. But we stayed in a hotel in Santa Maria, right next to the airport. You ever been to the airport? It's this little tiny airport. It's just where the helicopters come in. Actually, a big plane did come through, but I didn't hear it. And when we got there, I noticed my phone wasn't working. I thought, this is really weird. My phone is not working. You know what it said? Guess. SOS. Who said that? You. Yeah, SOS. And I'm like, what do you mean SOS? SOS. Silence, yeah. I was like, I couldn't do anything. Anyway, I thought, well, I'll just turn it off. I'll come back tomorrow. As we leave, SOS. Didn't work. So I couldn't use my phone, right? I'm like, I'm done. So I go to the workshop, which we're doing all these different things, and, I'm like telling the instructor I have a little vertigo, blah, 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 blah. After 4.5 days of really focusing on my breath, focusing on the work in the class, focusing on being present in a new environment, which is filled with God. Everything we did was filled with Spirit. And just relaxing. You know that relaxing feeling? Everybody know what that feels like when you've done that work? And then the day we left, which was on Friday morning, got in the car, drove away. Guess what happened to SOS? It was gone. Isn't that interesting? I tell you that story because I think that sometimes we don't pay attention to the SOS. I know for myself, I get really worked up. And so I have to make some changes around that because it's not healthy. for me or for anyone else. The thing that, and then let's go to the second week, which was at Anton. I got my doctorate, yay! And which was very inspiring and made me cry a lot. So I did all that. But what I was inspired by at this next conference was the individuals who gave they call them power talks about whatever the topics were. And then the second part was the collective consciousness. This is important, the collective consciousness of our New Thought movement. And what that picture looks like is that there were, part of the process of this conference was to have the leadership of divine science, science of mind, international science, unity. So the different organizations that had an influence on New Thought. So, but the one thing I got out of this is that we have to know something about ourselves that is beyond the idea of just New Thought in the world. We have to know within ourselves that we are divine and that we have a purpose here. If you're new, it doesn't matter who you are. It matters that we realize that we have a greater purpose. We have a greater purpose. And that it comes in many forms. I think that was one of the biggest things I'm learning as Centers for Spiritual Living goes through transformation, as I watch people graduate from Anton or Emerson, is that teaching and what we do has many different forms. It doesn't look like Sunday church anymore. It looks very, very different. It looks like being out in the ocean or being out in the mountains or doing something that inspires us individually as well as being in community. Community comes in many different forms. But it's also about us being in the world and knowing, and this is the key, knowing that every single moment we have an opportunity to bring a consciousness to whatever we're doing and to bring more good into the world. That is our purpose. And it has become more and more clear as I'm doing my own work. We have something to do here, and maybe you think, well, I don't really want to do that. Let me say to you that we do. We do. Where there's teaching children, you know what I mean? Every little word you say, they hold on to. Whether it's being in a spiritualist group, and everything you learn helps you to become better in the world. Whether it's doing artwork, everything you do, the beautiful artwork you did for the bulletin here, we all notice. There's even a kitty cat in the middle. Coming here, doing the hard work of enlightening our consciousness has a meaning and a purpose. You have on your wrist, everybody have one of these, anything is possible. Anything is, now I want you to wear this. And if you're in doubt, I want you to put it on, because anything is possible. Now, you know, I love AI, right? I love AI. Well, I'm now calling her a she. So I said, she, AI, tell me what anything is possible means to you. Now, I've been doing this for quite a while, so AI is getting to know my personality. So I threw in a bunch of different words, and I said, tell me what that means. Here's what AI said. It said, from a spiritual perspective, the phrase, anything is possible, reflects a belief in the boundless potential of life in the universe and the divine. It is rooted in the idea that there are no inherent limitations to what can be achieved, manifested, or experienced, especially when aligned with higher consciousness or divine will. Yay. Now, divine will, I want to say, is divine will moving through you. It's not out there doing it for you. It's doing through you. Now, this is closely tied to the law of mind. And when I think of the law of mind, I think about when I do a prayer. Whatever I think, whatever I teach, it's according to the mental laws that we believe in. And so to know that your thoughts have power. So when we do a prayer, our prayer is affirming the absolute possibility. And then it's about us to believe that that possibility is true. But as I say all of that, and as I experienced the last 2 weeks, the thing that I got is that we have to understand this at a very deep level. It's not just about me standing up here and speaking about the words, and you go, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's not. It is the absolute truth. We have to know that within our being. We have to know that within our being. So I have 5 different things that I'm going to just talk about. In addition to that, these 5 things are in the back. So when you leave, you can take these with you to read them, just deepen it within yourself. The first one is we have to have faith in the infinite potential. I know, there's no doubt in my mind, that many of us have a rough life sometimes. I won't say the word, but it happens. It just does. And part of that is a learning process. It's about us learning who we are, what our belief system is, and that the key here is in that midst of not knowing is going, but something better can happen. That's really deeply has to be inside your beingness. You have to know something better can happen. You're not alone. That's really important. The second thing is believe in the power of our beliefs and our intentions. I've heard many stories. I get stories all the time, and I love it when people tell me their stories. But sometimes we think, well, I can't really have that because I'm not good enough, or because I didn't say the right thing, or because... But we have to know that when we have an intention, whatever that intention is, I don't care what it is, it will happen if we believe it will happen. Do you get that? I mean, I want you to get that, because it's so easy to go, oh no, I'm not good enough for that. To think that we're not good enough, that we don't deserve that. The truth is, if you have a belief in something, it is possible. It may not come in the form that you want, because you're kind of always doing this as we're trying to figure out what we want. But if we kind of go, okay, all right, I'll do that, but then I really, 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 really want to have a great relationship, you're going to start looking at yourself and say, what is it that I want? Who do I want to be with? How do I want them to be around me? And not play around with the possibilities, but narrowing down into what it is that you want to have happen in your life. The third thing is we have to know that we're divinely co-creating our life, and that we're not alone. We are not alone. I mean, I can remember years and years and years of thinking, when I was a little girl, I went, yeah, God's up there, okay, I'm good. And then when I wanted something, I would beg to God and say, hey, come on, I'm going to do this, you do that for me. I don't do that anymore, because I know that everything that's around me is all God. It's all there. And that as I am creating, I'm co-creating. So I might have some examples here in a minute, but well, here, I'll give you a little example. I don't know if it might be later in my talk, but here's one. I met somebody, a good friend, I think is going to become a good friend at the second conference. And they're refurbishing a table that in a big family would be, longer than that and bigger than that. And they have a small house, and they want to make a small table. Well, the problem with the table is in the middle of the table is a nut. It's sticking up. It's sticking up, okay? A ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. And anyway, I was talking to them, and they went, I don't know how to fix it. And I said, well, maybe some shims will work. Shim it up so that it'll be level, because it can't be level because there's something like this that's preventing it from becoming level. You know what I'm talking about? So I said, well, I'm a problem solver. I like to solve little issues like things like this so that I become very creative. And I do things so differently than anybody, I think, Don't give me a measuring tape, give me a piece of string, that's how I do it. It's like, I'm what? MacGyver, is that what it is? Okay. Reverend MacGyver, right. I used to think I was a little Jesus, but I'm not. Anyway, the point I'm trying to... Reverend Dr. MacGyver, okay, got it. Anyway, so I'm starting to give these ideas, and then I go away, and I come back, and I go, well, that's kind of not going to work. So I came up with, and I drew a picture. I drew a picture and said, well, create this, and I get a text back that says, you're going to have to tell me what that means. Well, anyway, I couldn't talk to them, but I left a message. I said, make a picture frame. Make a picture frame on the base. And then something that's all the same size, so 3/4 of an inch, like let's just use a pine or whatever. And then, make a picture frame, put a little piece in the middle, put little, support boards on the inside, and then put your top on top and screw the sucker in. Right? That was a co-creation. Where did that idea come from? Not because I know how to do it. It was me co-creating with Spirit and knowing that I'm not alone. I can just ask. Ask and you shall receive. It's there all the time. Always know that about yourself. You're never alone with that. The other thing is the fourth one is we can transcend limitations, and there's always a choice. We forget that we have choice. And whatever we see that looks like a limitation, so I'll just use my own self and my own body. When I went to this first retreat, I was limited. There were many, many more people, as the first quote I gave, that were much better than me. But then there were other people there who had to use a chair. And you know what? It's the first time in yoga I've ever used a chair. I said, that was my limitation. I knew what that was, but I was transitioning from this, being so out of it to realizing, okay, you know what, maybe I can get clear, maybe I can do this. And by bringing in the breath and bringing in the things that supported my physical body, I then, by the time I left, it was the clearest I've been in months. Blew me away. I transcended my mind, my vertigo, into being very clear. I listened to that. And that I had a choice. I could go, oh, woe is me. I'm just sick. Feel bad for me. I can't do what you do. Or I could go, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. Or I'm going to listen to my body and see what it says and pay attention. So now, no matter what it looks like in life, and I'm using me as an example, but I'm sure all of us have something we see that, oh, that's a limitation, I can't do that. You have the ability to do that. You are here's the example to do that work. And then the last one, and this one I might even cry on a little bit. You guys love it when I cry, don't you? When we are conscious of the divine working in our lives, and then we have a chance to see the grace. I call it the grace of miracles. Grace of miracles. So the story, and I didn't write it down in here, but the story that I want to give to you is the grace of a miracle. How many people use Threads? Know what Threads is? You know what it is? No. It's Facebook's version of TikTok. Okay, Threads. All right, so I've become I love it. I can't use that big word. And so I use this now as a tool for me when I'm feeling kind of low, or I need inspiration, or I just need a break during the day of my chaos, right? So I turn it on, and I have a thing about dogs. I love dogs. So I have lots of little doggy videos and stuff coming up, in addition to whatever else comes up. Anyway, now here's how I'm going to get a little emotional. So I pulled up a video, and it was a video of a little baby laying on a bed. Daddy's looking at the baby, and you can see the love between them. And then there's a dog right next to the dad. And you can see the dog looking at the baby. But dad has stethoscopes. And he puts it in his ears and he listens to the baby's heartbeat. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then he takes the stethoscopes out of his ears and he puts it on the dog's ears.
Special.
And the dog is listening to the baby's heartbeat. That's a miracle. Who would have thought that? But that's when we're conscious. He was so conscious of this dog that wanted to be close to this baby. It was a pit bull even. Could have been scary. But the love in that circle was incredible. That's, to me, the things we should be looking for. The miracles that are happening in front of us every day, every moment. They're there for us. Dee Dee's online. Dee Dee has I think she's 17-year-old Carly, who I've known Dee Dee for probably 20, maybe more years. I was there the day that she said, I want to adopt a baby. I want to adopt. And I said, well, go do what it takes. So she's raised this young girl. She's going to graduate this year. And there's another miracle where a baby could have just been gone to any family, but she went to a great family. She went, you know what I mean? And Dee Dee, I don't mean to embarrass you there, but it means a lot to me when I see you do that kind of work in the world because you make the difference for them. And the last picture she sent me, she actually had a smile on her face. I thought, wow, I get to see a smile on her face. She was just adorable. She's just beaming, just beaming. So the point here is that we have to ultimately trust ourselves. And we have to trust in the expansion, I put here, the potential of ourselves and how the universe works. We have to trust that, period, end of story. You can no longer walk around the world and go, I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe. I don't think that's going to happen. No, no, no. It's yes, yes, yes. Because that's what God does. Only says yes. So if you say, I'm going to have a crummy day, what does God say? Yes. Yes. And that wasn't me flipping you off, okay? I have fused my hand, so it doesn't act right sometimes. Anyway, Ernest Holmes says this, and the Bible, Ernest Holmes says this. He says, when you say all things are possible, you mean that the power which created the planets is now operating in your affairs, in and through everything you do. That's this thing called You, one of the greatest books he's ever written. And then the second one, our difficulty lies not so much in contradicting this truth as in cultivating an inner awareness, a deep spiritual realization that we are one with all the presence and all the power there is. We are one with it. There is absolutely no separation between us and that which is. None. Are you convinced yet?
Yes.
So today, I would call us a collective consciousness, that we're absolutely working in the world, and we're called to be more, to hold what I would say the high watch. CSL right now, Centers for Spiritual Living, is going through a huge transformation, going from a brick building, selling that to totally virtual. That's a huge change for our organization. And it's a little scary, you know? And when I watched our leadership up there during the conference talking, I was like, wow. I had empathy for her because of the work that it takes to run an organization. Now doing it virtually is a whole different story. It's big. So I'm holding the high watch for them because I know it's not about me condemning them or being mad that they've changed things or things don't look the same as they used to. It's about holding the high watch, knowing that whatever's going to happen is going to happen and I'm going to be there with them. We're going to be there with them. You've heard the statement, many hands make light work. Sounds like Jerry, doesn't it? Together we can do more and it's more fun as well. Which means that we have to know what we know at a cellular level. And collectively as a group, we make a difference in many different ways. And that we have, and I wrote this down because I think this is really important. We have a purpose, be it small or large, it all counts. It all counts. It's kind of like having a savings account and saying, well, I only have $5 to put in there. Oh, today I got 100. Oh, maybe tomorrow I'll have $10. We keep putting a little bit in there and it all counts. It all adds up. So it's not about what you don't have. It's about doing what you do have. Ernest Holmes said this: power thrives when it finds a purpose, a direction to channel its force. In the realm of collective consciousness, a shared purpose becomes the conduit through which individual powers unite to create a greater good. That's what we're here to create a greater good, no matter what it looks like. And I use the analogy all the time of being in the grocery store with the mama that has the baby that's crying or the dog that's barking. Just kidding. But being there for them and with them and letting them know that it's okay. It's quite okay. And then just smiling and walking away. Not expecting anything back, but just knowing that it is okay. So, bringing this all together, it's about creating community too. You know, one of my purpose for the next couple months is to make us all come back together. We are so much stronger when we are together. It sounds like Hillary, but I don't mean it that way. But we are, in our hearts, so much stronger, and the vibration of spirit is so much greater when we're all together. Yes. We're together helping each other. We're together acknowledging each other. We're together saying, I support you no matter what it looks like. We are here together. And then because of that, we have a community. We then fill life with, compassion, with love, and with potential. Because we know, even though somebody doesn't see it, we know there is potential. We're not afraid to say that. Has anybody here been afraid to tell somebody that you don't know that they're going to be okay? We all have at some point. I'm saying don't be afraid to say that. Change the conversation. Just say you're going to be okay. You don't have to explain yourself. Just your own vibration of knowing that they will be okay will move them forward. Period. End of story. So, I had 3 things that I wanted you to get also. One was that we're on a mission to create a world that's filled with that love. The second one is to realize the value of empowering others. Kind of said that in the last statement too. There's no greater feeling for me to see another become more than they can ever be, and they didn't realize it, and then all of a sudden it happens. It's so much fun. You watch it with children all the time, right? How many people have kids, have had kids? You know what I'm talking about. Seeing them go, oh, I can do that. Giving themselves permission to grow. Or the light bulb comes on with math, and you go, I know how to do that. It's just adorable. It's the same thing with us as adults. Helping, supporting someone to see that good that's inside of them, it's just incredible. It's a great feeling. In fact, not sure who said this, but it says, empowering others, we embrace a role that fosters growth, self-discovery, and self-reliance. By recognizing and encouraging the unique strengths and abilities of each individual, we create an environment where everyone feels valued and supported. This is from CSL. Wow, I think that's really powerful. Now, I use a lot of different techniques up here. I talk to you, I express things. I also give you this because these words are more powerful than I could ever be. These words say what I want you to know. And so for you, getting it in different ways, whether it's hearing me, seeing me, or reading, I'm hoping that you grab onto this and you take it and you run with it and not be afraid of it. And then the last thing that I want to say about this, and then we're almost done here. Do you have a sign you want to tell me? Am I still on line? Is that we need to create from a place of diversity. You know, I used the example of the table. That's just a simple example. But the reason I brought that up is because there are many different ways to accomplish the same thing. And if we think we're the only way, it ain't going to work. It isn't going to work. But we have to stand up for that which is possible. And then just be open to the creative ideas. You know, it's a tough time right now. I'm listening to all kinds of stuff from all different places, and I just kind of go, okay, I'll hold the high watch. I can't do anything about it. I will just hold the high watch and let it be. But not come from a place of hate, but from a place of love, a place of just being open and listening. And if I don't have anything good to say, then I just keep my mouth shut. Right? Didn't Mom tell us that? You don't have anything good to say, keep your mouth shut. Something I've learned over the years, and is that being right is not the point. Being right is not the point. Bringing peace and clarity and honoring all ideas expands us. Yeah, you get it, right? Especially in relationships. Sometimes you go, being right is not the way to go. It's just to open up to what's possible. And so I'm going to leave you with a quote that I created during this talk. You know, God does that to me, gives me these ideas, and I go, well, maybe you want to hear this. I believe that as we understand that we all want a good life, we can then explore different possibilities and can keep our hearts open to what can be. What can be. That's our work. So I'm going to end with a quote from AI, a poem actually. AI is doing a good job for me these days. So, and this poem is here for you in the back also. So it's on the back of this, and you can take that. And then we'll have both Victoria and Sylvia come up, so you can come on ready. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes, and I'm going to read this. And once I'm done reading this, I will pray the message that I've given today into our week, knowing that you will embody it. The poem starts out with power together. No one stands alone, self-made, in this world where shadows fade. A myth of solo strength we tell, yet in truth we rise and we swell. Threads of spirit intertwine, connecting our hearts, soul, and mind. When we unite, intention clear, boundless power draws us near. In the warmth of shared embrace, we find our true and sacred place. A longing deep within us calls to break the solitary walls. Together we ignite the flame, no longer chasing hollow fame. We create with love and grace a world where all find their space. In harmony, our souls take flight. Through community, we find our light. And so as I anchor in this prayer today, this poem and this prayer of community, of knowing our truth, knowing our purpose, knowing that who we are empowers everyone that we touch, everyone that we see, knowing that Spirit is moving through us, creating, co-creating with us in every activity of our life. I know right here and now that today we take this message into the world. Even those that are listening to this talk later on, we are taking this message into the world to create a better home, city, community, world. We are the emissaries of Spirit that moves in the world to do that work. And because of that, we are blessed. We are blessed beyond anything we could ever imagine. Spirit moves through our lives. The Spirit will never fail us. We are one with that infinite presence, which is good, which is great. And so I give thanks for this day, for this message, for this knowingness that together we are powerful, and that we help others, and we help each other, and that we care for ourselves, and we care for our world. With that, I am grateful. And I release these words into that infinite law of mind, the mind we have been talking about all day, knowing that as we do this, we activate that law, and the law goes before us to bring forth that which is needed. For that I am grateful, and I let it be, and so it is. Amen.